Emily.
I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to do a movie versus book comparison of Never Let Me Go by KAZUO Ishiguro.
So basically the story is set in alternate reality, or alternate history, I guess, set in 1970s, where people at the time, they figured out, how to keep people going for living forever and ever, and the science behind that. So it follows a story between three characters, Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy, as they grow up in a boarding school like most British kids, and then how they how when they become old, like what their role in society really is, and how that influences the rest of the world, and their love interest, the romance behind it, the science behind it. So it kind of just follows that, and we're doing a movie book comparison. So
yeah, I gotta say it's a story, as I well know after all this talking, that it's really hard to summarize in one sentence or even two sentences.
Right. The one thing I would say between the movie and the book is that it's like all movies and all books. When they do a movie book adaptation or whatever, the movie is so much more, obvious. It's so much more easier to digest. The book, because the writing style is also difficult as well. For me, when I read this, I didn't understand anything that was going on. I was so lost until maybe the second half, the last quarter of the book, and then I was like, oh, okay, I kind of know what's going on now, because the writing style that he has is very it's a very detailed,
pedantic,
it's a very intense writing style, prose. So it's just for me to understand everything, I have to read every single word, and I'm not the kind of reader who reads every single word. I'm like a skimmer, I'm sorry, it's a fact.
We're exact opposites.
So I'm a skimmer. So if I feel like this paragraph is not super important to me, I'll be like, you know what, I'm just gonna skim through it and read something else that's a little more interesting, because the book itself was a little boring. To be perfectly honest, it was not my kind of book at all. It was dry. It was too sciencey, too much the science facts and everything. I like sci-fi, but I don't like it when it just has science details and facts just thrown at me, because I'm just okay, hold up a second, I don't have a background in this, and for you to keep throwing all this at me, you have to explain it to me, but then when they explain, it's way too in-depth. So it's a lose-lose situation for me. So I personally didn't like the book that much, but the movie, that was because now I understand what was going on, because I read the book first. I was okay, I know what's going on, I know what, why they're doing this, where it's going to lead to, and I definitely understood a little more. And movies are so much easier to follow that I definitely appreciated that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd say that just because it's a movie, by that merit, they sort of have to follow a structure, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Exactly.
And the good and bad thing about novel forms is that writers kind of have their leeway with any sort of style they kind of want to go at.
Right.
I remember from the book that, it kind of always flip-flopped between timelines, so I can definitely understand why you were confused. Yeah. Especially as things really went,
It's not just a timeline fact, it's the fact that he didn't really go into too much description, explanation with all the things that what are donations? What are carers? What are these terminologies that he would just throw out there, but he would give no explanation to. And I had to think to myself, what do you mean by a donation? Donation of money, donation of what? What exactly are you talking about, referring to? And he didn't talk about it until the end, and then you're finally oh, now I know what they're actually donating. Now I know what a carer means. I just felt for me, a carer was just someone who took care of people. That's basically what it is. But I didn't know to what capacity she was taking care of them and why she was taking care of them. So I was just very lost in that fact.
I think my only answer to that is that the characters themselves didn't know. So it was very hard as an author to be I'm going to completely ruin these characters for you by describing to you exactly what this means. I think the fact that you were confused works with the nature of the story, because the characters themselves were kind of we're kids, we have no idea what's going on.
But the thing is even when they did find out what was going on, because the teacher told them, they were just okay.
Yeah, but it was also that when they were telling them, they were very young.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
What does death mean to you when you're 10?
I guess that's true.
No, I completely understand your pain in terms of reading through something, especially something like so, especially the way I guess he writes. It's very like it doesn't focus too much on like an actual dynamic. It's more of like, oh, I'm going to be going through this, kind of sweeping through like some of the details, sweeping through these characters, and then they kind of land on the page. Yeah, it was kind of just like
his. I guess I just say that I don't appreciate his writing style.
Yeah, I understand.
He doesn't give it to you like straightforward. You know, he gives it kind of like dabble here, and then like expect you to kind of understand what's going on. And then even if you don't, he's like, well, I'm going to continue dabbling here and dabbling there and hope for the best.
In terms of movie, because I didn't talk about that yet, I actually liked the movie a lot too. I thought that the book had its own merits in terms of you know, being like bringing the ideas forward and sort of like I definitely appreciated the story in its novel, in its original form, because I thought it was necessary. I saw that to sort of go into depth about things and really get the science out, because without the book, I don't even think the movie would have been half as good. The movie doesn't lose that message that the book originally intended. So in terms of if you want to watch, like if you already have watched the film, I hope like maybe you'll agree with us, because I thought that's usually really hard to do, like being able to be like, oh, the book means one thing, but then the movie's like, nope, we're tossing this out. So I feel like the movie did a good job in kind of getting the meat of the story and making sure that all the main points, the main messages gets through into the movie aspect as well. So obviously we're done with the movie book comparison, but as like a conclusion, we decided to do a little rating on whether or not how good the movie was adapted from the book, and whether or not it was, you know, whether or not they took the main message and they did a good job on it or not. So overall, I think like, I don't even know, this is like kind of emotional. I don't know what that means.
Question. But like, it made me think.
I don't know if it's an answer.
I don't know if it's an answer. I guess I did a good job, so it's a thumbs up for that. But like, regardless, the movie and the book both made me think. So good. These are my two emojis. Okay.
Well, for me, I actually loved how, like, in terms of not love the story or the book itself. Don't give me that look. I meant that I loved the fact that it was true and faithful to the original message. So you mean you're rating like the movie versus book, right? So I'd say good job, very good job. And then I guess I made this face. I chose this face because
the hot face.
Yeah, the hot face. Because the type of conversations we were having while watching this movie, I could not laugh. Like
you could not laugh?
Oh, I laughed.
You could not laugh?
I could not laugh. In terms of the book versus the movie, if you like the book and you like the message that it was telling to the world, I would recommend you highly watch the movie, give it a chance.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job in cutting out what was necessary and what's not necessary, because obviously a movie is not going to do the entire book, because like that's obviously going to be forever. So I think like in that way it was also a good job to the directors as well, and like the screenwriters, that they cut out what was not necessary and put in what was necessary, and still made it seamless and faithful to the book.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for today.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye.